Welcome back to the Hockey Show, and today we are, of course, talking about the monumental trade that has finally gone down after speculation, rumors swirling, the monumental trade of this superstar, historic defenseman, one of the greatest players of all time to ever do the sport of hockey. Erik Karlsson. Where will this legend go after his historic season with the San Jose Sharks after putting up 101 points? Where is he going to go? What's the trade going to look like? When's it going to happen? Who's going to take it? And it's finally happened here. On August 6th, on a Sunday, it is finally here. The day has happened. The trade has been dealt, and EK65 has found a new home in the Pittsburgh Penguins. Apparently, the move that Kyle Dubas believes is the key to their success, to becoming once again a Stanley Cup contender and give the Pittsburgh Penguin legends one last shot, or at least maybe a couple last shots at a Stanley Cup. So let's talk about it. But first, let's break down the trade. So the Penguins get, of course, Erik Karlsson with a cap retention of 13% held by the San Jose Sharks. So 13% drops that down to $10 million instead of $11.5 for 4 more years. Woo! That's a lot. That's a long time to pay a guy who's above 30 years old now. So we'll see how that goes, but we'll get into that later. So after his amazing 25 goals, 76 assists, 101 points, if he plays like that at least for 1 or 2 more years, I would say the $10 million is definitely worth the money, right? Last year, he earned that money, right? The question mark is, can he keep it up? Can he reproduce this season, or at least something along the lines of such, right? So that is the big question. Defensively, people love to point this out about him, and I want to address this, as he's a minus 26, right? Which plus minus is it's a hard stat to look at, because on paper it does tell you kind of a lot, where the minus 26, the guy did help produce 101 points. That means he was on the ice producing 101 goals happened, and he's still a minus 26. So he gets scored on a lot when he's on the ice, right? But at the same time, the San Jose Sharks sucked, and he was the number one guy with the most playing time. Well, I don't know if that's a fact, but getting a lot of playing time on one of the worst teams in the entire NHL. Getting scored on I think the Sharks are actually, no, they're not the worst at being scored on, but they're in the top 5 of most scored on teams. So it's kind of a hard stat to look at. But he's coming off his Norris Trophy season, huge land for the Penguins, as well as Rem Pitlick from the Montreal Canadiens. This was a 3-team trade. So interesting pickup there. I think that's a solid depth pickup there. I think a 4th liner, Rem Pitlick, he's been able to get 30 points in the past for teams like the Canadiens. So I don't think that's a bad pickup as well. Only $1 million for him. I think like 1.1, not bad. Dylan Hamiliuk, no one really from the ECHL. He's never going to see the light of day in the NHL. And a 2026 third-round pick from the San Jose Sharks. So the Penguins, nice pickups there. They got a good pick, third-round pick there. Rem Pitlick as well, not a bad pick. And Erik Karlsson, huge. Next, the San Jose Sharks. Now, for me, I will be honest, I have been a San Jose Sharks fan for a very, very long time. They aren't really my favorite team anymore, but for my childhood, they were my favorite team. I was at the peak of getting into hockey when EK65 was traded to San Jose. I was at school and I got the message on my phone and I freaked out. And I was like, "Oh my god, because I loved Erik Karlsson. He was my favorite player in the world. I wanted to be like him when I was on the ice, and that's who I wanted to be." So when he was traded to my favorite team and going to wear the teal, I was like, oh my god. But at this point, he's still one of my favorite players. I want him to be somewhere and play successful. I don't want him on the Sharks anymore. So I was like, at least for the Sharks, get something good. Because Timo Meier, you got nothing from the team like the Devils, where they've got Dawson Mercer, Alexander Holt, Simon Nemec back there, and a lot of other young players that you could have gotten from them. Sharon Govich at least could have been something. They got the worst of their prospects. They got the bottom of the barrel of what they could have gotten for Timo Meier, who is a game changer for a team. got nothing for him. So for Erik Karlsson, what do they get? They get the legendary Mike Hoffman to return for 2 more years, apparently. No, 1 more year, sorry. For $4.5 million, this guy brings in 34 points last year, and he's gotten 34, 35, 36 points in the last 3 years. I think that in that order as well. So, solid mid to high 30-point player in Mike Hoffman, the return of the San Jose legend. Not bad, I guess, for a team that could use some help for some of their younger players, guys like Zadina, give him another, veteran NHL player, so I guess that's okay. What else? Michael Granlund, another player I've liked for a little while, but not really because he's a great player, I just kind of like the guy. Michael Granlund coming in with 10 goals, 31 assists, 41 points. Not that great. I mean, $5 million for 2 more years. I mean, that's not bad, especially for a team that doesn't really need to worry about that. But it's just nothing. I mean, once Hoffman's at the end of his career, Granlund's not getting any younger. And then what else? Jan Rutta, however you want to say his name. 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. Was a +3 on the Penguins. Not bad. But once again, not really a young player for the San Jose Sharks, a team that's trying to rebuild. Not really a key for the future. I mean, he's not paid a lot. I mean, solid defenseman, I guess. And then what? Oh, a 2024 first-round pick. That's top 10 protected. See, you know when the Sharks did trade for Erik Karlsson? You know what the Ottawa Senators did? They got the San Jose Sharks first-round pick, and guess who that turned into? Tim Stützle, okay? The Sharks now, instead of trying to bet on the Penguins sucking with Erik Karlsson, maybe Crosby goes down with a season-ending injury, and Erik Karlsson once again aggravates his injury again, and they suck. And they get the 3rd overall pick. Guess what? It doesn't matter. The Sharks aren't getting it. The Penguins keep it. So any worth, I mean, a first-round pick is a first-round pick. If they get the 11th overall pick, then I guess that's okay. But still, if the Penguins suck, let's say everything goes wrong for them this year, and they get the 5th overall pick, the Sharks don't get it. And they've got nothing to show for Erik Karlsson. For me, if it was the Penguins, I was always thinking you get a guy like Braden Yeager, okay? Like a guy from their last draft who I think is a pretty interesting pickup there. And maybe a guy like Owen Pickering. That's someone, not an all-star prospect, but a guy like Braden Yeager could be a great goal scorer in the future, especially to be paired with Will Smith in the future. But no, they got nothing. And even if they get a first-round pick, but it's going to be nothing special. The Sharks, I got worst GM in the league. Greer, the cheese guy, sucks. The worst GM in the league, bar none. Anyways, let's go on to the Montreal Canadiens. They get Casey DeSmith, which an interesting pickup. 1 more year for $1.8 million. He's been a backup goalie, obviously, for a little while now. And for the Canadiens, for them not really having a solid goaltender there, I think DeSmith kind of being a goalie that they could give a chance to be their goalie, and the Canadiens can still kind of suck while their players grow into who they will be. I think DeSmith is kind of a good pickup. I like it. I like Casey DeSmith on this team. I don't know why, but DeSmith on the back of a Canadiens jersey just looks right in my mind. I feel like that is, it's going to be one of those, I don't think Smith's going to become, a Vezina Trophy candidate goalie or anything, but I just feel like that's an interesting pickup. I think he'll be one of those guys that's wow, he's having an interesting year. He's kind of, even on his, let's say he goes, I don't know, he's, 14-14 on his record, and it's that's not, it's not good, but, he had interesting numbers, so I like that DeSmith pickup there. Jeff Petrie returning to the Montreal Canadiens after having a good season, by my means. 5 goals, 26 assists, and 31 points for the Penguins. He's coming in with a cap retention of 25%, which makes him being paid $4.6875 blah, 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 $4.68 million for 2 more years, so not bad for the Canadians to help out their blue line that definitely needs a little bit more veteranship to help the young guys out back there. So the good pickup there for the Canadians as well. Laguerre, I think that's just for contract reasons to have a certain amount of contracts, and a 2025 second-round pick from the Penguins. To me, I mean, if we give like gold, silver, bronze in order, I mean, the Penguins, I mean, they get the gold, right? I mean, they got Erik Karlsson on this trade, so they get the gold. Silver easily goes to the Canadians. They didn't even have Erik Karlsson, and they beat out the Sharks, who got nothing. They got nothing except guys on their way out the door and a pick that, I mean, they'll get someone good if it's a late round pick, or even middle if they get like the 12th round overall pick or something. But even the fact that they don't get that first round early pick, potentially, is just horrible. Absolutely horrible. But the big question is, does this make the Penguins a contender? I'm gonna start tomorrow, doing my season previews, looking at all the teams' lineups and stuff, and seeing how they stack up. For the Penguins, they're miles away, and for right now, the way I look at it, their offense is not amazing. Their defense, with Erik Karlsson, is, I mean, Karlsson by himself could be such an impact for the team. But if you subtract him and actually just go off of like pure actual defense, it's okay. I don't like their defense a whole lot. I mean, Letang and Graves and Karlsson are good. But other than, like, I give it a pass. I'll give it a pass. The defense gets a pass. So offense isn't the strongest, but okay. Defense is a passable. Goaltending, Tristan Jarry and Nedeljkovic in net is... Jarry is interesting as a goaltender, so, like, all around, I gotta say, this team, are they a playoff team? No. Are they a Stanley Cup contender? No. Are they a playoff team? No, I don't think so. I think the East is so concentrated with so many good teams that are only getting so much better than the Canadians that are all around better. And the question marks of guys like Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and Chris Letang and Jarry and net and Erik Karlsson, even if Karlsson gets 100 points, right, it might not matter. Let's say Chris Letang this is his huge drop-off year. What if this is Malkin's huge drop-off year? Crosby's huge drop-off. Gensel is out the entire year. Something like that, right? Offensively, I mean, the third and fourth line might as well not exist. And on the top six, not the strongest top six in the world, goaltending, Jarry's a question. Like, can he actually be he can be a good goalie or just the worst. And all of this spells to me a team that if they can get into the playoffs, they're a quick first-round exit. Regardless of anything, this is not a Stanley Cup winning team. And really, the Penguins, I've talked about them a couple weeks ago, that they're a team that needs to rebuild, but deciding not to, and they don't look good. And I think Karlsson, which is weird because Karlsson decided where he could go. And for me, I just see Erik just deciding to go from a team that is in cap hell and can't do anything to make themselves good and have a long road to the future to being a good team in San Jose, to going to Pittsburgh, who I see even having a longer road to being any good. For a guy who says that he wants a Stanley Cup and too many guys that he's played with regrets not having one, I think he chose the wrong team. But overall, interesting trade. I'm glad it finally happened and we don't have to speculate about it anymore, but how's it play out? I don't think very good. But that's all I gotta say. So thank you for watching this. If you made it this far, please, I'm begging you, pick up your free subscription. And until next time, too sweet, have an amazing day, and ta-ta for now.